Hey guys, welcome back. Now, it's been about a month roughly since my last video, and the only reason I haven't produced anything in that time is because I didn't really have enough content. However, if you're following me on Facebook, then you most likely saw the status that I put last night about wanting to talk about ghosts and wanting to unpack horror movie cliches because I feel like it's very relevant to what I'm working on right now. So without further ado, I'm probably going to be fanning through this idea book that I have and hopefully inspiring a little bit of discussion around mainstream slash Hollywood depictions of the afterlife and hopefully getting you guys thinking a little bit about how we talk about death and dying and moving on to the next stage of our existence, the next iteration of our life, as it were. So let's get started. So, cliche number one, the dark house. Now, admittedly, this one's pretty obvious, so naturally I decided to start with it. But I do not understand why, in every single horror movie, it seems like the characters are stuck in a house where the lights don't work. I mean, I don't know, maybe I would react the same way in their situation, but you better believe that if I was in a house with some axe murderer, I'd be turning on lights all over the place. Okay, but for some reason, they would rather crawl around in the dark calling out to the intruder like, "Are you there? Where are you?" Like, he's not going to reply. I mean, he's not going to blow his cover by saying, "Yeah, I'm in the kitchen. You want me to get you anything?" Like, come on. So that's the one thing that really bugs me. Is it's always dark. And in fact, I saw someone on Twitter made a joke and they said, "If the lights don't work in your house, you're probably in a horror movie." And she's probably right about that because for some reason it's always pitch effing dark in every horror movie. And I know that's supposed to add to the atmosphere, but to me it just seems completely stupid, quite frankly. Turn on some lights and maybe you'll survive. Cliche number two, off the beaten path. Now, this one sort of goes hand in hand with the whole dark house theme. I can't help but notice that every time someone gets themselves into trouble with an axe murderer, or a ghost, or a demon, or some other horror movie cliched icon, it always happens in a place where there are no people, right? I mean, why does it always seem like every single horror movie is based around a bunch of teenagers who decide to go and investigate an abandoned asylum? Like, oh, hey, let's go have a party in this old mental hospital. And nothing, I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? We're just in an old barn somewhere in the middle of nowhere. No, nothing's gonna happen out here. I mean, no lights, no electricity, no traffic, no cell reception. No, let's just go have a party and have a great time because the cops can't bust us all the way out here. Well, guess what? The cops can't help you because they don't know that you're there. So, off the beaten path is one of those cliches. You know, as soon as somebody wanders away, as soon as they drive off the interstate and say, let's take a back road, you know it's going downhill from there. So, that's why I listed it as the second cliche that drives me crazy because with the exception of a few movies, the vast majority of them seem to take place somewhere where nobody can hear you scream, and that's probably the point, right? If you're gonna kill someone, take them someplace that nobody will ever think to look. Cliche number three, negotiating. Now, this one tends to happen, I think, a lot more in movies where there is a demon or, Satan is trying to manifest himself in some way. Towards the end of the movie, it seems like the main character is trying to understand his motive, saying, "Oh, what do you want? Like, why are you here? Like, why does this question even need to be asked?" Right? If you know anything about possessions or hauntings, then they just want your energy. That's how they sustain themselves. So there's really no need to have this conversation. And yet, there always comes a point usually towards the end of the movie where the young victim will say, "Oh, please don't hurt me." It's like, what, because you said please he's not going to kill you? Like, come on. um, this is really your fault. You're the one who wandered off the beaten path and into some dark house where nobody could hear you. So now, quite frankly, I think you've surrendered your right to ask why. um, I could be insensitive about it, but the point is, I can't help but notice that every time the victim finds him or herself in a compromising situation, they think that that's an appropriate time to start talking and asking questions. And I just really think that that is BS. And I think they need to stop doing that. I think this would be a good time for reflection, not conversation. Stop and ask yourself how in the world you managed to stoop to this level? How did you find yourself in this position? It's probably because you did something you shouldn't have done. There's your answer. Number 4, car trouble. Okay, now I know you've seen this one before. I mean, you've got the victim who manages to get out of the house or the mental hospital or the barn or wherever it is that they encounter this big scary monster. They fly down the driveway, they get into their car, and it doesn't start. Right, and we're not talking about, an old beaten up car, although sometimes we do have those old lemons, but for the most part, these are very modern vehicles, and they don't start. They're cranking the ignition, the engine's not turning over, and they're panicking because, oh no, I might have to flee on foot. Like, give me a break. The car never starts when it needs to. And for once, I would just love to watch a horror movie or a TV show where the car actually starts the first time and they get away. And I mean, when you're stuck in a compromising situation, every second counts, right? So they lose at least 6 or 7 seconds just trying to get the stupid car to start. So petition to make horror movies where all the cars are operational, right? Yes, please. Please invest in cars that actually start the first time, and then maybe I'll actually enjoy the movie. Number 5, buying a house with a history. Now, when I say a house with a history, I mean a house where crap went down before it was put on the market. Okay, and you know these houses, right? They look very quaint and romantic. They're usually country homes, maybe they're Cape Cod houses or old farmhouses. They've got a nice real portico. They've got plantain shutters on the windows. It's just so cute, and they're usually out in the middle of nowhere, off the beaten path. You see what I did there? And usually the young family that's buying it goes, oh, this would be a lovely place to raise the kids and have a golden retriever, and we could have barbecues and dinner parties and take all kinds of pictures. But of course, this house is effing haunted, right? And for some reason, either because the real estate agent doesn't know or because they simply want their commission, they don't actually mention this. Until, of course, the family forks over the money and they move in. And of course, the first signs of something being amiss always come on the first night. Like there's still boxes hanging around. They haven't unpacked anything. They just have the bare essentials. And, on the first night, it's like, oh, do you hear that? It sounds like, oh, no, it's nothing. It's just the wind in the attic. And meanwhile, it's, a spawn of Satan running around up there. But I just don't understand why they wouldn't leave. Like, why would I understand that negotiating the sale of a house is very complicated. Okay, I've been through it a couple of times, but I just don't understand why they insist on staying. Or like when you talk to the neighbors and the neighbors are like, "Oh yeah, you bought that house. Good luck with that." Like, like I don't understand why they insist on going through. Like, I'm just saying, okay, if I came across a house that was stunning, like absolutely gorgeous, an old century home that I would love to raise my family in, and it was within my budget, and I started talking to the neighbors, and they said, oh, she went down in that house a few years ago, and I wouldn't be going forward with that sale. I'd be looking somewhere else. I'd be like, okay, well, in that case, I'm going back to the city, right? But of course, I was trying to get away from the city because it's too crowded, right? And we want a more affordable place. We want room to grow. So, of course, they move into the haunted house at the end of the street, right? Way, way down there off the gravel road somewhere. And they always get themselves into trouble. So, how about we start making movies where the houses are actually located in the suburbs, right? And you actually know what went down before you inked the deal. Yeah, or how about maybe, and I'm going to scare myself saying this, but what about if the family moves into an apartment building or a condo? And nothing bad ever happens in a condo, so maybe that's the way to go. Just skip the house and go straight to the condo. That's all I'm saying, is if you don't want to be possessed, you might want to stick to a high rise. That's it. I realized I could go on and on and on about this for like at least a couple of hours, at least. But I think 5 is enough. I think 5 cliches is enough for one video, because I've been at this for a while now. But hopefully I've given you guys enough to go on and enough to, hopefully, all wishful thinking at this point, but I really wanted to make this video because I wanted to alter your perception of, the afterlife, ghosts and demons and whatever else. Um, and I say this with purely selfish intentions because I'm writing a story that I am hoping will sell at one point, and I figured that it would be a good introduction to the story to sit down and examine all these different cliches in detail before you guys kind of dive into the story. And I'm already swimming in it, and it's rich and it's in some ways very complex, but ultimately I just want to change the way you see things. That's why I do anything, really. I mean, when you're a writer, it's not to get rich, okay? There's not a lot of money to be made in this industry, but the main reason I got into it was because I was hoping to be able to change just a little bit of the conversations that we have as a society about death and dying and just all those things that we're so afraid of talking about. Like, we think we're not going to die. Like, we're all going to die. Okay, you're going to die. I'm going to die. This is really a depressing subject, but I really wanted to remove the stigma. And there's a stigma around, so much stigma around so many issues nowadays, and I just don't think this should be one of them. So, like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you need to do. Yeah, I really want to give you guys an opportunity to participate in these conversations, to have your say, to feel like your opinion is being heard. So, as I said, if it's anything at all that you want me to talk about, please let me know, and don't be shy. I'm very hard to offend, so even if you have some criticism or tough love or anything like that, just let me know. And yeah, as I said, if there's anything else, you will be sure to hear about it on Twitter or Facebook. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. So, bye.